Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is adult star, content creator, the one, the only Miss Laci Foxx. How you doing, Laci?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. First and foremost, I have to say this for those who have not been checking out Laci on the social media fronts and her content as a whole. A lot of great stuff from the solo action, a lot of great action we get to see of you on camera, showcasing that voluptuosity factor. You're doing the damn thing, man. I like what I see.
I am. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Let's start it out first and foremost. The great thing about the adult entertainment industry and really anything in life, Lacey, it's an art form. We're all applying our crafts. We're all having fun, entertaining, evoking emotions. So what kind of gravitated you towards the adult entertainment industry as well as content creation?
Um, I was just really interested in the inner workings of things. Kind of, I started out selling my used clothing items, and I was doing research on that, and it was kind of a hyper fixation during like the middle of the heat of the pandemic, and it gave me like an outlet and something to do, and like kind of it was really satisfying on multiple levels. Like learning about things, relearning other things. There was a lot more resources as far as like the community and even learning like how to properly package and sell used clothing items. So it it was something for me kind of to do expressively and I started doing like pictures and stuff like that and I just kind of spiraled from there.
I think what I like about that too is first and foremost, we always talk about how there's an audience for something, right? And I've always said this into the utmost respect, and I love about it. The used closing side of things, yeah, man, people are into some of the most unique things is the best way to put it. I think for that,
Yeah.
you have a great market for that, but also number two as well, it's stuff that a lot of people you don't even realize because we're all unique in this thing that we call life. There's so many different preferences, and I think that just the market, you don't even realize how much the market is for selling used clothing, right?
Yeah, and it's different in a lot of different ways. How people like things used or unused or odor, non-odor, perfume, dirt, no dirt, and things like that. And the one of the things that I love, just doing like kink customs in general, or creating a used item or a shop item or something that somebody can connect with is making it normalized for somebody that might have been laughed at previously or like made fun of or whatever. And as long as it's like legal and safe and sane and within all the guidelines of, you know, those, I'm okay with, creating for somebody as long as I can do it. I love doing it.
You have actually just brought me to my next point. I like your style. Okay, we'll go to this point next. So I look at it from a stance like this. I always talk about this on my show, and I want to talk about this with you because you said something that is so focal. Normalization. I mean, we see the evolvement, the revolvement, so to speak, of the adult entertainment industry and content creation. Everything from what used to be known as taboo, right? From what we would see in the 90s, even going back to the 80s, what is some classified as the golden age. In today's day and age, in 2025, with the addition of OnlyFans, with the addition of ManyVids and so many different community-ized websites, how awesome is it to see the normalization of something that from the adult entertainment industry to uniquenesses, like you mentioned, kinks, everything's becoming more normalized. And as the old saying goes, sometimes you got to let your freak flag fly, number one, but also number two, it's a great form of expression for everyone.
I like it a lot. There's still a lot to break open and show the I don't want to say, I don't want to sound like, someone going door to door or anything, like to show the general public that there are different things than what they just see on the front of a magazine or the front, virtual magazine, whatever. I just aged myself. Um, but they still print them, damn it. Um, um, but I learned a lot of I was wrong about a lot of the normalities that I thought that the adult industry was. And oh, look, I'm too big for this or too old for this or too short for this or too busty or not busty enough or whatever it may be, or I'm too kinky or too strange or too into weird things or not into like normal enough or whatever is like there's something for everyone like you said and I think that the importance of bringing a lot of that to the forefront, which is more than it used to be, even just in general, is great. And I think it should keep going. I think I didn't realize it until recently that, you know, women that were of my age or older or, or even could be considered to be attractive or to be sensual or to have a viewpoint of, somebody that could carry a sexual presence in that regard. Um, Normally we're just like the breadbaskets, and and that kind of thing after like a certain, age or whatever, or you know how things get I can't think of the word.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I gotta chime in on this because let's put this into the forefront, ma'am. I
stereotypes.
No,
Yeah,
I say this right here, and I can think
yeah.
everybody in the audience here can say it. I mean, it's the real deal sex appeal type of vibes, man. It's the voluptuosity factor. I think a woman of your size and your stature, as well as don't even worry about the age because that's not a factor in the situation. I look at it like this. You have to look at women as an art, right? All women are beautiful, doesn't matter size, shape, what have you. I look at it like a stance like this. I'll be honest, and I'll speak from the male point of view. When I was in my teenage years, and as I'm going to be 33 next month, I look at it like this. It's all about how you have.
My birthday's next month too.
Oh, snap. Okay, April babies. Let's go, baby. All right. Very nice. Woo. So I look at it like this. To go on to your point, my fellow April baby, I look at it like this. You have everything, right? You have everything at your tools and your just everything right in front of you. I always look at it like this. As a male point of view, I always said it doesn't matter what you look like. If we can have that connection and foundation, it works. And also, number two, I could say right now, a lot of the women that were interested in me as a young man, as I've gotten older, and I've realized this and I love it and I'm cool with it. A lot of women have had that voluptuosity factor, dare I say that, the little thickness, if you will. We down with the thickness, if you will, to put in the bluntest
I'm
terms.
very thick and I'm
Right.
okay.
Exactly. That's how you have to look at it. So I
It's a
love that.
descriptive word. It's not discriminatory.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because I think a lot of people need to realize that. And a lot of us like to get down with the thickness, people, and we're all about that life.
Yes, I will definitely bring the thickness.
I got you.
And
But
it's yeah, it's not that I'm ashamed of it.
right.
I've always as I aged into young adulthood and further along progressed into my adulthood and aged into my 30s and now I'm into my 40s. Um I no matter what I've done with exercise and diet structure and it's just I've always just been thicker and that's just how it is. So it's like a constant, and I don't get a lot of like hate comments or mail, but when I do, it's usually like, oh, why don't you just go to the gym? And it's just like, I go for walks, I'm very active. It doesn't really matter. That's just how I built. That's just how I am. It's not, for some people, it's a choice, and I get why it's like a niche because a lot of people, there's a feeder kink, so they will eat, and a lot of people like that. And nothing against them. Because I actually my thyroid's kind of on the hyper side, but my body just doesn't let anything go. So, and I've tried all those things, and it's not to like fit status quo, but it's literally just to try to be healthier and just try to be more comfortable for myself. And as a person ages, you try to be more healthy and do the things and maybe go to the gym or go for walks. And you're like, this just really isn't doing anything. And so, and that's just it's something that I had to come to terms with, and it was almost too much for me sometimes where I was just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this porn thing. Like I keep outgrowing my lingerie or and we go through it a lot. Like you use it for a couple of shoots or some pictures, and unless you can like integrate it into something else, like it's kind of old, right? So it's
Right.
not a big deal. But um, it was bothersome for me. Like I really like that it fit, or it doesn't fit me anymore. I have to get something else or a different size, or you're constantly adjusting for like remeasuring and buying different size things and all that stuff. So that is kind of the thickness struggles. you run through your clothes or whatever, your clothes seams rip out. I've patched a few pants. I had a pair of pants rip out in the butt cheek. Like I bent over and they snagged and just down. I guess they're more tights. I don't know. But no, and it's I try not to let those comments and stuff get to me. I don't get very many of them, but it's just like I I I'm fairly healthy, it's just how I am. And so I don't mind being um the presence and a sort of representation for, not that I'm trying to deem myself, like a quo for anything, or like a forefront person for anything, but I need to be out there and show other people that, it's okay to be bigger, and I'm still a sexual person, and other people that are bigger or smaller or shorter or taller are sexual beings as well, and that's okay.
We'll say this first and foremost, ma'am. I think it's all about the best representation of your presentation, how you represent yourself and how you present yourself. And I always look at it like this, in life, sometimes we may not be a lot of couple people's cup of tea, but I gotta say you're my cup of tea, and I'm sure you are to many others' cup of tea. You rock it. But I look at it like this, man. That's the beautiful thing that I love that what you just said right there. Because it means it doesn't matter if you're bigger, it doesn't matter if you're smaller. I look at it like this, man, with everything in life. And I especially look at you because you're talking about being positively proactive. You're talking about exercise and doing the damn thing. I love that because that's a huge part of life and what really makes everything goes and everything's going, so to speak. But I think that's just a great attitude to have. And I mean, for you, you can inspire and encourage your words and actions. And I think with what you just said there, that's going to unite a lot of people. I stand by that. I like what you said. I dig what you're putting down, so to speak.
Thanks. I try to, be inclusionary and mindful about a lot of stuff because I feel like that's important, and it's important to be that way with everyone, not just who I decide. And I'm a pansexual person. So I find a lot of forms, physically, exterior and internal, very beautiful. And it's hard for me because someone's just like, "Oh, do you like this or that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "What about this?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, like, so it's hard for me to like kind of wrap my head around when people are like, "This is gross" or "That's gross," because I'm like, that way of thinking is what's gross to
Right.
me.
Right.
And I understand people have their preferences. That's totally fine. But it's okay to be like, that's not for me, or not, like I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum or whatever. But um, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. First and foremost, I think what's great about this and why I love doing these shows is conversations like this, and you bring up a lot of great points. And I have to also make it like this. Think of it like this, Miss Lacey Fox. It's all in a name, and your last name is Fox. So I mean, you're a fox. So you also that you take that as a term of endearment, and you can also use that to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, hey, it works. It works. Time put two and two together, so to speak.
Yeah, I've definitely grown into my name a lot. Because not to ruin it for everyone, but a lot of people have stage names
Yes.
for privacy, and it's a persona because there is part of me that is in Lacey, right? Like that's just how it is. So it is part of me, but also when I came up with the name, is when I was doing a lot of the clothing stuff. So that's how I came up with the first name, because it's a material. Like I really was fond of lace and how it looked,
Right.
and it was, that's a material, like aesthetic. And I wanted something that was kind of animalistic, but like still attractive. Kind of like Fox. A fox has kind of like a bad rap sometimes because some people see them as like sneaky and deviant, and but they're kind of just like dogs, right? Like when you kind of get to know, I mean, yeah, they do hunt, they are animalistic. So it kind of brought like a raw feeling to the pretty lace, like, and there's that whole like Wayne's World theme, but we're not going to go there. Um, but also Um, I don't know, I just felt like it kind of encapsulated a little bit. And Fox are more like a dog family, like they're kind of really sweet and they're cute. I just like them.
It's kind of like if you look at the Disney side of things, the Fox and the Hound, dare I say, what did the fox say? Dare I say, swipe or no swiping? Like, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can attribute and just bring it all together. I like that. No, I think
Yeah,
that's the best way to do it. I think with you, and I'll say this right now, with you being the persona and you being who you are, it's like you, but you're amplifying yourself to the next volume, so to speak. You're amplifying yourself to another level. And that shows, I'll even say, within your films that we're going to get into, and you as a whole. And I think that's what I really do also admire, not about just you, but with your films itself. You look like you love what you're doing, and that really does show through. And that's a lot of gravitational pull right there, Miss Lacey Fox.
thank you. I do have fun.
We're very welcome. No, truth is truth. And I mean, I've seen the stuff that you've done with Plumper Pass and everything. So we'll start with Plumper Pass because first and foremost, seen a
Okay,
lot of great women on that site, including yourself. Great sensual
thank
scene that
you.
you had. You're very welcome. I wanted to touch upon the scene because I gotta say it really does excite, ignite, but also at the same time too, great chemistry and synergy. Talk about working it for Plumper Pass.
That was really, really, really fun. Um, excuse me. I was it was a really, really hot day in Miami. The set was very comfortable. I got in and I think I was in Miami for a couple days before I went and shot for them, but I got there and the director's really nice, the producer's really nice. The person I shot with was really nice and he was amazing to work with. And it was really fun. My hair and makeup was amazing. And I really felt like $1 million that day. It was fun. We had to kind of alter things. There was a little bit of um, an issue with the hair and makeup lady. Had like something come up in her personal life, and she had to leave. And so we changed the setup. We were going to do a different scene, and we reworked it on set. And it went really well. And I really liked working with Juan Largo. He was great. And I felt really, really comfortable. He was real calm, and um, we danced well together. We flowed well together. Um, I don't think when we finally had gotten started with everything, we did the pictures, um, excuse me, um, we did all the pictures and that kind of thing. Um, we flowed really well together. I think on screen, which sometimes it's hard because you're like, which way do we go? And you kind of get caught up. It just didn't really flow well sometimes for people but it flowed really well for us. And there wasn't a whole lot of like, well, which way next? Or it worked out really well. So I had a great time. I loved working with them. I would definitely go work with them again if they would have me.
Let's put this into the forefront here and shout out to Juan Largo and the amazing scene like we mentioned. I always look at it like this because you mentioned having that chemistry on camera and off. And I've always loved what I've always respected and loved about the adult entertainment industry. It's not just what you see on camera, but behind the scenes and putting out the great content. I've always admired that because there's a lot of layers and levels that go into it, but also at the same time, too, what I also appreciate and love about it too as well. It's all about putting it in the two S's I like to call safe and spectacular. You're doing it safe and spectacular in the same fashion. The most important part is testing and everything. So you have a lot of great guidelines and you have a lot of great discipline and professionalism that goes into it. So you have a bunch of layers that really make one scene and makes the content worth watching as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah.
And I think for you, I think isn't that also like the amazing, exciting part as well? Just again to learn many different aspects because you never stop learning in this thing that we call life. You're always adapting. How awesome is that for you? Because it keeps going and it's never stopping, right? The grind never stops, as they say.
Yeah, it is true. It's so true. Especially as like I started solo content creation before I started working with other people. And it's pretty much like a one-man show. You kind of, unless you have the resources or know where to look or who to talk to, you're kind of on your own, like learning to do everything between like lighting and angles and editing and pictures and what do I wear, what looks good on me, what angles look good or don't. Um, there's a lot. And like you said, everything from like testing, proper testing, what's accepted, what's not, um, all the way up into like hair and makeup. Probably and a lot of the I don't know, manicuring. I don't know. What do you want to call it?
Style and
Hygiene.
aesthetics. Yes, the style and
Hy-
aesthetics. Yeah, there you
Right. And the hygiene. Like I know a lot of the guys that go get mani pedis and stuff like that. And I think that's awesome. Not only are you like it's relaxing, but I love a very manicured hand.
Well, that's
That's true.
no, I'm right there with you. I think the style and aesthetic, like we mentioned, but also at the same time too, a lot of people that goes into a lot of things. If you're gonna be having a passionate lovemaking session, and if you're just gonna have sex on camera and also put out a hot scene, you have to be ready as well as not only the hygiene side of things, but you
Yeah.
can't be gross, to put in the bluntest of terms. You can't be gross. I mean, you know what you're doing, and if you're in that moment and your co-star or the person that you're working with is just like kind of gross the F out, to put in the bluntest of terms, it's not gonna make for a hot scene. So you have to do the appropriate measures, so to speak, to get right into that.
Right, right. There's lots of showers,
Yes.
pre, post showers, all kinds of stuff. And dry shampoo. Unless it's really sweaty, I have dry shampoo with me. Um, just because you don't always have time to undo all your hair and then re-curl and everything. So dry shampoo really helps. When you sweat a little bit, but you have to kind of go back into the scene looking a little bit fresher, some dry shampoo. But yeah, like there's a lot of like hygienic stuff and you know and that kind of thing and going over what the person you're shooting with, your partner for the scene might want to do or not want to do or doesn't like to do um is very important. Like, what's your nose?
Right, exactly. And I mean, I also put out another one that you have great chemistry with that I've seen your work with. Billy Pilgrim is another one that stands out. You have had a lot of great scenes with him, many different creative storylines and everything from the storytelling that leads up to said scene. I gotta say, I love it. Brings a lot of creativity, get the creative juices flowing, so to speak. Talk about working with Billy Pilgrim.
We have done a mishmash of a lot of stuff where it's just been kind of like gonzo and then like you said kind of had like a storyline and I was I was really unsure how that would be perceived because I know it sounds horrible, but I don't watch a lot of porn.
Okay.
Like I do, but I don't. Like I don't have like a Netflix of porn to watch. Like I would be too encapsulated in looking and studying it and like I watch clips and parts and scenes and pictures and you know what I mean? Like I don't watch like full versions usually. I'm sorry. Everybody, I love you though. Um, so I wasn't really sure, excuse me, how that would be perceived, like the longer version. So I was like, there's a lot of, you know, a scene build up to this. Do I make it cheaper because there's less like bulk sex part and there's it's equal kind of like talking and like I really wasn't sure what to do with that. So I just did my best in trying to meet in the middle as far as hopefully people would like all the storyline and some people just like us going straight for everything and there's no storyline. So I think we've had I think there's like one in the vault somewhere. But I think we've had like 16s maybe. And I was actually, it's funny that you bring him up. I was actually just talking to him, excuse me, a couple hours ago. And we were talking about Chicago Exotica, if we could work together, if we should work together. Because my first like scene with anybody was with Billy Pilgrim, my first like full scene with anybody else. I had done like some worshiping stuff. And but he was like my first full scene, and he was like, it was in Chicago. Should we do like a, you know, reunion or like 2 years later? So we were kind of back and forth. He is just an abundance of creativity. Um, and he's always coming up with new ideas and wants to elaborate on them, make them better and bigger and put out like fuller, fuller, not four, fuller movies and do that kind of thing. 'Cause I think he did release one. I don't know how long it was, but it was like clowns or killer clowns or porno clowns. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. Go look for it. Um, but yeah, he's definitely his own vibe
I
for
will
sure.
I will say this first and foremost, don't apologize for only watching like I guess admit that you don't watch a lot of porn. That's okay. And here's why I put it to you like this. You're not like the 40-year-old virgin with Paul Rudd. You got a big giant box of porn, Andy. It ain't that type of style, but that's okay. I can equate with you on that because instead of watching like a full thing, you can watch shorts, you can watch clips. That's the new thing there. And it helps. I mean,
Yeah,
I love that you put that into perspective because it's another way of studying it, but also number two, and what I like about how you put that in there, balance is so key in any facet of life, especially within scenes, because there are some people, like we talk about, there's an audience for everyone. There's some people that
hmm
like the story that gets into the scene, and then some of them it's like, and again, excuse my language, we'll put it to the forefront. It's like, all right, let's just fuck already. Let's just do the damn thing.
get straight to it.
Yes,
Yeah,
but that brings people together either way. So you're kind of uniting the community, so to speak, if you look at it from that,
right. And there's a variety, so
right?
much variety. And that's another thing too, is like I think part of me is like if I watch like full versions, I'll have like a some kind of a creativity block because I'll be so cluttered with other ideas of everyone else that maybe my original ideas won't push through. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's why I don't even really watch television, to tell you the truth.
Well, first and foremost, I respect that also. Well, with everything that's on television now, my goodness gracious, with how society is, I completely understand.
Moderation, right?
Moderation, yeah. Well, no, that goes with social media too. Moderation and everything, because again, you're
Yeah.
driving yourself nuts if you're constantly on that shit.
Yes.
But that I like your style. I think you have a great approach with that from the mindset, absolutely. But no, I look at it.
Thanks.
You're very welcome, and I look at it from this, Miss Lacey Fox. You've also done a lot of great scenes. I got to say, probably one of my favorites of yours. Man, you go to the ice machine and then boom, we have a nice little sex scene right after that. I got to put this into perspective because I love the creativity. Just sometimes you go to the ice machine, ice, ice, baby, too cold, boom, we're right back to the bedroom. Can we talk about that? Because I got to say, I love that deal right there, man.
Um, that was I had surgery at the end of last year, so I had set up a couple shoots. And that was one of them. And we had D Crush and I had planned on like shooting together and we set up a date and a time and everything. And then he arrives and he was like, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like we had no storyline really picked out or anything. And so we were just kind of chatting and like walking around a little bit. And I'm a tobacco smoker, so I went outside. I'm like, "All right, well, let's go get some fresh air. I'll go smoke and maybe we'll come up with an idea." Um, and we did because we walked by the ice machine, and then he was like, "Why don't we do it this way? And then I'll come back to your room and we'll just meet up that way." So he kind of like picked me up at the ice machine, which really did not work. It really didn't work at all.
I did find that film to be very entertaining. And that's the thing about it too. We mentioned evoking emotions and eliciting reactions. I think that it's again a key to any scene, but stuff like that. I mean, I've seen your stuff with Daddy Graybeard and so many individuals of that nature. And I think each and every film, like we mentioned, tells a great story and a variety, but I'm always encaptured to the fact that again, it does showcase a lot of raw and passion, especially the Rebel Rider and the gangbang type of vibes there. So that adds another little layer to it. I gotta say,
Yeah.
watching your films. I do love it. I enjoy it. And respectfully to you, I cannot wait to see where you keep going on this journey and your career, man.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely over having a break because I did take a little bit of a break after I had surgery last year, and then with winters, travel is kind of hairy in the Midwest. So I actually just had shot my first scene in almost like 5 months a couple weeks ago. So that's in the editing where I'm editing right now. And so there's so much coming up in April. Like a lot.
I mean, I look at it from a stance like this too. Like I mentioned, the gangbang side of things. I mean, Rebel Rider, another great human being doing the damn thing. Like for you, and we mentioned
Yeah, she's great.
I know, and Graybeard, another one where you have great one-on-one chemistry. But I'll ask about the gangbang for this particular question, Miss Lacey Fox. Talk about that situation because God, very hot, very steamy, and it got hot and steamy very, very quick. Talk about the gangbang scene.
It did. And I've actually like just really quick, I've
Yeah.
thought about redoing those because those were some of the first videos I ever edited and I had a completely different software. So I've thought about like pulling those out and like re-editing them or making like a full version of somehow. Anyway, I haven't decided if I was going to do that or not. Um, it did. It was kind of everybody was filing in and tests were getting checked, and they had when I say they, Tadpole had set the room up like the night before. They had a big room, and so they had gotten everything ready. They had covered everything in like plastic and like the floor to protect the floor, the carpet, the chairs that were used. So as the guys started to like file in, and when we were checking, tests were getting checked, numbers were getting, they were all getting numbers. That was kind of like an indication that they um, had been checked and everything, and uh, verified that they were good to go because you got to have your tests, right? So it was the pivotal moment for me, right? Was she was ready in the background, and we were on the foreground, me and the other fluffers, and we're kind of lined up in a row. There's a couple. There's one behind me was Lena was behind me, and then Mira was beside me, and then the other girls were down the way, like Sunny and Wisconsin Tiff and Kit Lacey and the other gal, Rose, something Rose. I'm horrible at names because you add the ats and then screen names. And anyway, and they were like, we're all set up, or let's start. They had like the announcements, do's and don'ts if you need wipes or blah, 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 or all this stuff. And I'm standing there, and we're all standing there right before we all drop to our knees, right? And this like wall of guys comes towards us. And I'm like looking around because I'm all of like just barely 5'4", right? So I'm like looking at all these guys, and I'm like, this definitely brings things into perspective. And then there's like some chuckling from the guys and some of the gals, and away we went. So it was great. There was pierced ones, there was long ones, short ones, thick ones. I loved them all. It was great. I've always wanted to do that, and that was one of the things on my bucket list.
Well, I
Yeah,
will say you succeeded in high fashion with that, ma'am. I will say
thank
that.
you.
You're very welcome, but no, and don't apologize for mixing up names because the links will be in the description if you want to check it out. Because it's some good shit. It's some good shit to put in the bluntest of terms. Very, very nice. And like
I
you
would do it again in a heartbeat too.
No, I mean, I don't blame you when I look at it from a stance like this. Well, and I can speak from this as watching it from teenage years into as we get older as well. I think the taste of the gangbang too as well, and the overall preference that is, because we mentioned you being pansexual. Everybody has different kinks and preferences. I love it, but it's one of those things too. It's a great variety, and it's a really great category for a lot of people to watch. Gangbangs will always be sexy, even from the test of time, so to speak.
Yes.
And
There's a
I
little bit of something for everyone there.
There is. It's spice. It's just everything that's so nice to put in the bluntest of terms. Now, I will say this, Miss Lacey Fox. You, my friend, XBiz. I mean, we could talk about expos, AVNs. I have to ask you the presentation and the precision that goes into everything. You, my friend, I love to see the XBiz and I love to see the award shows. Very rewarding. And I got to say, if you've not nominated this son of a gun over here, I did before we came onto the show. Go ahead and nominate her, man. I hope the best of luck for you, man.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. But I wanted to ask, how awesome is that to see? Just because it's such a prestigious award, it's such prestigious conventions, it's a community and it's a great fan base. Talk about that because that's got to be awesome to see for you, even being nominated.
Right. And even like the pre-noms, like when the pre-noms come in and you get like a tag and you get online, you're like, oh, that's really awesome. And it's just very gratifying and humbling when somebody nominates you because they took time out of their day to give you a few minutes to encourage you and give you credibility for the work and the creativity and that everything that you've been putting into something that is very important for me individually and other people in their own regards. It's amazing. Um, I did have the ASN nomination last year. I proudly take runner up for the best content creator performer for BBW category. So the venue changed kind of in the last couple of weeks. They had like a storm go through and they changed the venue, and I just wasn't able to get my tickets and everything switched over like economically to go. So I didn't go. But they're very transparent about how their voting system goes. And I found out that I was runner up, and I was very happy with that. Um, that was the first thing I'd ever been nominated for. And it was great. It was very exciting
I mean, I
for
will say
sure.
I will say this, and I love that you brought that into for fruition. And I mean, going back to even talking about your films and how you may want to do some of that stuff over, I loved how you mentioned that with editing because it tells that you have the precision and you have everything that you just want to have the best quality. Again, another very admirable trait from you, Miss Laci Foxx, and everything that goes into your work. I'll put it to the forefront right here. You mentioned the BBWs and everything that goes into it. And shout out to all the beautiful women in the BBWs out there. We'll add another little tag to that. The WLW is the whole lot of women, and you are a whole lot of awesomeness. So I look at it from a stance like this. Everything that we see from the OnlyFans, from the ManyVids, and we talk about the evolution, I wanted to ask you, as someone who's got into it yourself and doing the damn thing, how awesome is it to see that community come together in so many different outlets now for a lot of content creators and adult performers?
Um, I think it's really great because you see a lot of um, I don't know how to put it. There's a lot of different tributaries of people who will come together and nominate different people. It's not just like the same people, the same places. Like there's fresh faces coming in, there's new people. You still have like your golden era persons and everybody in between all that. And I think it's really cool when um there's a whole range of people who get nominated or that nominate people or that can enjoy sex basically and um and everything that comes along with it. So I think that's important and I think that should be celebrated by everyone and the inclusionary of like working with different people, if that's your thing or not, and having that variety is very cool as well.
I like your style, number one, and number two, that puts a smile on my face. And number three, I have to put this into perspective here. If y'all have not seen the imagery of Laci Foxx on her social media fronts, man, you could rock it from dressing like, Mrs. Claus and having the Santa Claus and Christmas vibes to it. The lingerie. Let's put this into the forefront here because I've seen some many vid stuff with your lingerie shoots and just imagery. I gotta say, you rock a great lingerie, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I sometimes I have to get things I wouldn't usually get just because I'll like stick to one pattern or one like color scheme. So I do have some more like bold floral patterns coming out soon. I didn't do much for St. Patrick's Day. I kind of was super busy over the weekend, like pulling together some loose ends for Exotica next month and making sure like I get more business cards ordered and those kinds of things and that everything is ready to go by then. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a good outlet for me to in the BDSM community, I consider myself a middle, which is more than a small or a young person. It's the teenage, right?
Mhm.
So for me to be able to go and get like, I'll just go to Shein. Like it's fine if it's like $10. If I use it for like two shoots and a scene, I did my thing with it. It's fine. I will go either like put it in the back of the closet for a couple years or see if I could resell it or whatever or give it away to someone else. um it really fulfills that for me, or even just going secondhand shopping to the consignment to find different clothes to wear for shoots because I this that's stuff that I'm not going to use very much, so I'm not going to go spend a bunch of money. um and it's fun because it's like going garage sailing with a roof. So um but I appreciate that because I do. It was hard for me to take some recent pics because it'd been a while. It was kind of like breaking the ice, and getting back on the horse again. And how long will it take me to do the makeup or the hair? And like tonight, I tried to take down the bun, and I was like, we're just gonna dry shampoo and do some things with the eyeliner. So you got the relaxed version um today. So but it's definitely a great outlet. And I like to see how everybody does like cosplays and different lingerie that they wear with like strappy things. And I love all that stuff. It's really, I'm kind of girly like that way, I guess.
No, I love it too. And I mean, if you mentioned BDSM, I mean, you can have the dominatrix vibes, you can have the leather, you can have the lace, you can have everything nice with a little bit of spice, as we mentioned earlier. But I admire that. And you mentioned the cosplay as well. Everybody has their different style and finesse to it. Dripping in finesse, it don't make no sense to quote Bruno Mars, if you will. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many layers to it. And I mean, like you mentioned just now,
Drag. Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
All of it. Yeah.
Ah, but that's the thing too. And I mean, like you mentioned, I'm getting the relaxed version here. I gotta say, I like the version I'm getting here. You look very nice in your style and profiling this over here. Let's put this into the forefront. You got a nice little vibe going to you right now.
Thank you.
You're very
Just
welcome.
a little casual look.
I feel you. No, I dig it. And I mean, I look at it like this. From you as well, I mean, coming back from, of course, having surgery, and I mean, health comes first, and I'm glad to see you doing your thing. First and foremost, welcome back and doing your thing. I think that's wonderful, man. I mean, that's just shows that's just your perseverance and where you are. I mean, I even admire from the fact that you started with solo things and the confidence even to be put on camera, and then you transition to working with people. That's wonderful. And I think that's a lot of people can really take into that. It brings a lot of confidence and empowerment even to it.
Yeah, when I started, I wasn't even showing my face.
Really? Wow. Oh my
Like
goodness
it
gracious.
was almost a year. Like I was just clothing, excuse me, it was just, the garments and portions with the advertisements. I didn't really show my face for almost the first year. I was on like a private website, which I think I'm not even sure it's still going. Um, but yeah, I started on just one website and then my first one was OnlyFans and then it kind of just spiraled from there. And then I kind of started missing doing like the used clothing and the kink and the fetish and all that. So that's when I spun off with the Fox Den. Just because it's integrated in with my other stuff. And I wasn't sure if it was getting buried or if people were not seeing it or seeing it and it wasn't for them. So I kind of regret separating it now because it was kind of a lot of work. But I am starting to put like with permission, of course, like the customs over there and stuff that I do that's more fetish related. I'm slowly taking it off of Laci Fox and putting it on the Fox end. And so the people that want to see me dom or maybe it could be sub or have the kink play or the play with hooded people or do scenes or impact or the fetish stuff, that's where it will eventually all end up at one point.
I think what I love about that too as well is I love the marketing strategy. I love everything that goes into it, but also at the same time too, everybody gets a little something something to put into the forefront. Everybody gets a little something something. And I think the something something that we get is just overall awesomeness. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I wish you nothing but continued success. I can't wait to see more of your films and your content when it comes out.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And let's put this into the forefront, folks. Every time I do these shows, I'm always interested, invested. I love having guests on to give them the platform to tell their stories. And of course, for research purposes only, I always watch films back. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because there's a lot of great hot films and there's a lot of great hot and beautiful women, including my guest tonight, Miss Laci Fox. So Laci, I will put the overture out here. I'd love to have you back on for a round two and really just shoot the breeze like we did tonight. It's such a blast talking to you.
Sure, I will just talk and talk and talk and talk.
I'm happy to be
But
talking.
thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. I mean, I will say this, we did have a little technical difficulties before we got on air, but the main thing is we're here, and I'm happy that we're here because you were been a
I'm just gonna throw that equipment out the window. I swear.
you're channeling
If
your
I didn't have my programs like tied in with that, with my like, you know what I mean? Like the programs downloaded and I edit with, I would just be like gone and get a new one and re-download everything.
so pretty much what she's saying here, folks, is she's like Mark McGrath and Sugar Ray. All the things that I used to know have gone out the window when it's over. Take it back to 2001. I look at it from a stance like this. It is always a blast to just see so many great people and content creators, ladies and gentlemen, doing their thing, as I like to put it. One of the questions I do have to ask you is because as someone who's doing their thing in content creation, adult entertainment, there's a lot of pearls of wisdom that you have had, and I always like to say this and ask this question. What advice would you give to someone who is on the come up in content creation, adult entertainment? What advice would you give them who are looking to really get into and really do their own path and carve their path?
Be patient.
I love that. I really love that. That is beautiful advice. Patience is a virtue. I like your style. Okay.
Like be patient with yourself, with your content, with your editing. with the sites that you choose, build everything up, have a library for yourself to give yourself some wiggle room, be patient, learn everything that you feel you need to learn before you just jump in because you'll have a better it's like trying to jump off a diving board that's in wet cement if you don't wait for it to dry. So be patient. Let the cement dry on your foundation. Get yourself a little backlog, build your brand, do your research and your networking, and just be patient.
I'm
That's all
all
I have to say.
I'm all smiles with that. I love that. I love that. I think that's great advice. Adhere to those words, ladies and gentlemen. And Miss Laci Foxx, FO to the double X, where can we follow you on all the forms of social media? The floor is yours. Please go right ahead and promote.
Okay. Take a deep breath. You can find me on I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. My OnlyFans is solo and it's free, and my link tree is there. It's also on my X/Twitter. I'm also on Loyal Fans mini bids. My clips for sale is solo. And there's also a Fox Den mini bids. Not many people have two mini bids accounts. Um, but yeah, you can pretty much find the Fox Den through me. And I just got on Real Me like over the weekend, so that's new. It's not even on my link tree, so that's new. It probably will be on the link tree by the time anybody sees this, but you are the first one to know I'm on Real Me now. So, but yeah, uh, yeah, all my links are pretty much my link tree. I'm probably forgetting one. Oh, Fab House. I'm on Fab House. Yeah. So I'm dipped in a little bit everywhere. I did delete a couple accounts this year to try to consolidate and focus in on more solid area, like in a more narrow area. There's just too many platforms to upload different things to at once. So I just kind of consolidated to the ones that seemed like they were doing better for me and that I had better reach. And it was just, I looked at the numbers
Well,
basically.
well, thank you for that exclusive. I look forward to checking you out on that side as well. And everything for Miss Laci Foxx over here will be in the description. I think there's also even some erotic writing you did on there. I mean, I saw some of your link tree, man. You got some.
Yes, Medium. I actually need to start writing again. I started writing a book, and by the time I thought I was finished with it, it was just kind of more like a short story. I think it was like 7,200 words. So I went through the Ranch Hand Agency, which they have like erotic writing, and I kind of fell into the algorithm with those guys somehow. Um, I should probably link them on my link tree. But if you're on Medium, I'm under them on Medium, so you'll find them. I think, I hope. I'm not very good with that site. But yeah, I just broke up the chapters and the different stories and then started adding other ones. And there's a couple stories on my Mediums that are actually written off of scenes that I did or before I had the scene. So the elevator and the bully were actually based off of actual scenes and stuff that I did and porn that I made.
I gotta say, we gotta put this over. I've read it. It's a great behind the scenes intuitive, and it's very sensual, and it's very raw, and it's very blunt, and it's very honest. And I gotta say, very, very nice. I look forward to seeing. I hope we get to see more of that. It's very creative. I dug it.
Thank you so much.
No,
I
you're
really
very,
need to get back in that. I started writing about a month ago and I kind of it stalled out after like a couple pages, a couple paragraphs. Um, so I need it. I'm ready to get back into it. I kind of go in like spurts, like I'll bulk write and then I'll release some. I do that with everything. I don't know why.
no, you're multifaceted. That just shows a lot of presence to the overall statuesque and personality. I dig that. I think that again, we talk about admirable and quality traits. That's it right there, man. I hope to see more of that. I enjoyed what I saw and what I read.
Thank you. I'm glad.
You're very welcome. And folks, if you want to follow this fine program for On the Mic with Mike, you can go to the YouTube channel. It's Mike Larkin 92. Subscribe, like, comment, give this woman a follow, give this video a watch, and just enjoy all the great content of women and people of all facets of life as a part of the On the Mic with Mike series. And As I always say to end each and every one of these fine programs, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft, especially this one over here, in amazing fashion. And Laci Foxx, do you have any final words for the people, the fans that have been supporting you throughout this journey since day one? Any final words to the people?
Um, Thank you.
The gratitude
Thank
and
you so
solitude.
much.
Yes, and the gratitude and solitude is there, and we thank you, ma'am. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, the three key elements, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Laci Foxx, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.